Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and today we are talking about the news of finally the rare appearance, as if a blue whale resurfacing and you see it, that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity of another offer sheet in the NHL. It's finally time for some fun parts of hockey of what's going to happen. So, the St. Louis Blues have decided to go out and hunt some oil down, and I think this is a pretty genius move. I really like it up front. But before we talk all about it, please subscribe. It'll make me smile. Just go down there and just forecheck and backcheck, cross-check, stick lift, slash, trip, whatever you want to do to that subscribe button. It'll make me happy. Like this. Anyways, let's keep moving on. So, the St. Louis Blues this morning, today, has decided to send an offer sheet, and they have been tendered to Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway from the Edmonton Oilers. For both of them 2 years, but for Philip Broberg, 2 years for $4,580,917, and for Dylan Holloway, 2 years for $2,290,457. So both of these are 2-year deals, and at the end of them, they'll both still be RFAs. Now, obviously for an offer sheet, the whole thing is that if you sign the player who's an RFA, you have to send compensation in return. So, for Philip Broberg, the compensation to the Oilers would be a second-round pick, and for Dylan Holloway would be a third-round pick, and that's if the Oilers do not match the deal. Now, if you don't know how an offer sheet works, basically what it is the Blues have given and signed a contract with both of these players. Now, the Edmonton Oilers have 7 days, a week, to decide if they're going to match them. All they have to do is match the deal, right? The players have nothing to do with it anymore. If the Oilers have to make the decision themselves of, what are they going to decide to do. And that's basically what's it right now. So right now, the funny thing, too, is that if the deal was $1 more for either of these two deals, the compensation would go up. So there's tiers to the compensation. So $1 more, I think the Broberg deal would become a first-round pick, I believe. And then Holloway would become a second-round pick. So it's a pretty good deal for them. And also, the next thing that's pretty funny is that the Blues actually just traded the Pens this morning for a deal to get a second and a third-round pick. So, to me, the St. Louis Blues are pretty confident in making this deal, right? Especially because of the money, the value that they put on these deals. It all makes sense to me, and it feels like the Blues feel very confident about this, that they're going to be able to land this one. And so the real question is, can the Edmonton Oilers match the deals, right? Or do they want to? The second question of do they want to kind of just doesn't matter, because the first question of can they is a bit in the air, because right now they're currently over the cap by $300,000, a little bit more than that. So right now they would be spending too much money, but you can do that during the offseason. They can figure out some creative accounting, but regardless of that, they are over the cap. But not just that. Next season, this is the final year of Leon Draisaitl's contract and Evan Bouchard's. Leon Draisaitl is currently paid $8.5 million. He can easily, 1,000,000% easily take on, a $13.5 million contract. I mean, he is unreal. Unreal. And I don't think the Oilers want to walk away from a guy like that, just to walk away. They would have to trade him away, right? So, or keep him on this team. So, that's already an issue. But then Evan Bouchard as well, who is really their true, key defenseman. And he's paid $4.3 million, and he is going to get a huge boost in pay. You have to figure at least bare minimum $8 million, if not way more. It could get. The Oilers sign out a lot of pretty just random contracts. So to me, it's that could be easily another that could be a $9-10 million deal. So especially if he keeps up some great play this season as well, and being their main defenseman when it goes to their first Stanley Cup final in forever. There's a lot of moving pieces there. So they've got another $15 million being thrown out there just in those two players alone. So the cap space is already tight. Tight. So that's already an issue. If they could make the money cap-wise work, especially for currently, like, what are depth players. But the other question of, do they want to keep these players, right? Because Philip Broberg's contract, $4.5 million, is a pretty steep deal. Now, he did really, really good in the AHL this season, and if you watch the playoffs or toward the end of the season, Broberg has definitely, he's definitely NHL ready. And for a team like the Blues, who have a lot of defensive struggles, to kind of have like this young player who looks like he's ready to earn like that number one spot on a team, feels like a pretty smart move, right? Because they don't really, the Blues aren't really in a too strapped situation. Like, they don't need to go for the Stanley Cup, but they are competing. So to have a player like Broberg, like, in their midst, like, ready to go and grow, and maybe this year explode in the NHL because he feels ready for it. He did in the playoffs, in my eyes. Maybe not points totals-wise, but his playing effort, like, he was all over the ice in that game. He looked amazing. Maybe a lot of flaws because he's a younger player, but that's what rookies do. But for a team like the Blues to have him on the team and they have like a Parayko alongside him, like, feels like a very smart move. So to me, Broberg, it is an overpay, but also, it is an overpay. And can the Oilers afford an overpay of a younger defenseman who is going to be playing down their wings, especially when they have big contracts like Darnell Nurse is still in the contracts books and stuff? I don't think so. And then Dylan Holloway as well. Dylan Holloway's definitely the harder of the two because I think he has a huge ceiling in his play. Like, in the playoffs especially, he looked like he was very competitive and was playing hard, but he has a lot of development to go through. But Dylan Holloway looks like he could be a big deal player, especially for the Blues who have Kyrou and Thomas, and Buchnevich. Like, have like a guy like Holloway be able to grow alongside that top six. Feels like that'd be a very smart move because this team is still growing for the future. So to me, the Blues, these are not bad contracts. They're not amazing contracts, especially for Broberg, but they don't really hurt their circumstances. The Oilers, though, can they sign a Dylan Holloway for $2.3 basically million for being like a pretty under average kind of player at the current moment where they're in the current strike zone? No, I don't think so. And Philip Broberg especially is a very much like a depth defenseman for them at this point, or at least maybe like the fourth pairing of the top four. It would be hurtful for them. It would be very hurtful for them. And to me, I don't think so. I do not think that they are going to be able to do this. And I don't think they want to do it. And the toughest part for them, too, is the fact of the compensation. A second and a third round pick is just not going to be huge for them either. So to me, the Oilers are going to walk away, and I think this is going to be the first successful offer sheet that we've seen in quite a while. And for the Blues, I think this is just a win. They get two young, very, like, NHL, like, ready, maybe not, like, NHL dominating or anything, but NHL-ready prospects, and that are ready, for younger players that are ready to take over the team and be a part of this retooling St. Louis Blues roster. And for the Oilers, they're going to lose out, and that's what happens when you're a team that's in the win-now moment, is that you have to sacrifice these younger players for the future and not be able to, to win now. And to me, it's like if the Oilers decide to keep them, they're going to have to give up something. And the issue with the Oilers is that they don't really have those, like, decent, like, you know, like, second-liner, $5 million players where they can maybe shed off the cap and maybe let a guy like a Tyler Bertuzzi of the past, like a guy like him, where it's like he's not like a true number one player, but he's definitely a second liner on a great team. Like, we can shed him away and we can afford to, like, keep someone on this team. But they don't have those. They have either huge contracts or very low at the bottom, where they would have to shed off a couple of them. And to shed off like a Jeff Skinner, that's not going to happen, or Arvidsson, not going to happen. So, like, those are, like, their options, and if they wanted to keep someone, they would have to get rid of two of those players for a Broberg, and that's not going to happen. So, to me, this is going to be a successful offer sheet, and I think it's a win for the Blues, and for the Oilers, this is what's going to happen, and once again, I don't think they're going to win the Stanley Cup or do anything that amazing anyways, so I don't really care, but that's it. So, that's all I got to say about this whole situation. I think it's a very fun trade to see, and in 7 days, we'll see what the Edmonton Oilers decide, and I think they're going to say, we're going to pass. We're going to pass. We can't keep digging a deeper hole for ourselves that we want to win. And if we sign these younger players that aren't going to do too much to help our chances of winning the Stanley Cup, then that's what they got to do. And if they're stupid, they would keep them, and we'll see them make some big kind of move. But that is all I got to say. So thank you for watching this. If you made it this far, please, I'm begging you, please subscribe. Until next time, too sweet. I hope you are having an amazing day. And ta-ta for now.